Greetings, fellow songwriters and seekers. Welcome back to Muse and Measure. If you haven't done so yet, please hit that subscribe button down below. Well, this is kind of a follow-up video. I did a video maybe a week or so ago about common metaphors and cliches and how to work with them. But I got some follow-up feedback from some of you all, especially Greg Chandran. Thank you very much for all you guys who commented on this and asked for more details. And I hope I can provide that, or at least give some inspiration towards that direction, because some good points were brought up in the question. So let me just read what Greg wrote. Can you provide us lyrical song examples outside of Radiohead that show how a metaphor can be used in different contexts? I tried to do that with my poems, but I concentrated on the word meaning, meter, and particularly rhyme. Good, bad, or indifferent examples would be helpful. Well, I'm always uncomfortable about saying songs that I don't like or songs that I feel fail at these aims that we're talking about, mainly because I might change my mind someday, but also I don't want to yuck someone else's yum if they love something, and maybe I'm just not getting it. So I take this approach to the things that I don't like, is that I just don't quite get them yet. And the fact that so many other people might like something, you know, it just means that maybe I haven't quite got it yet. I haven't been in the right context or the right frame of mind. And so I'm going to give you the songs that I think maybe work well, or just some examples, but I'm not going to say ones that I think are bad. Maybe I'll come up with some examples of my own, for my own music that I think is bad. And then Greg wrote in a different posting, many commercial songwriters have agreed that the use of common metaphors sells more songs by far. The concept is that hearing a familiar thought draws attention to the song and associated project. Very, very true. So yeah, so because people like what they know, if they hear something that is familiar, they're going to be drawn to it. And so definitely if you're trying to write hits, you want to be a Nashville songwriter or a pop songwriter, then using common metaphors and even cliches is a great way to, you know, have instant likability to your music. But I think also what I talked about last time, which is taking more of an avant-garde approach to it and really kind of defamiliarizing the metaphor, that can be done in a way that's not just so artsy, you know. It can be still relatable. It can just shed new light on the cliche or the common metaphor that, as I said in that previous video, have gotten kind of stale. They've lost their potency, their resonance, because of their overuse, and they just kind of force a kind of truism or an ideology about it, like this is just the way the world is, accept it, as opposed to saying, look at this, this is possibly how the world is, but this is a particular instant of that, and let's experience it through the senses. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about both approaches, you know, the more avant-garde approach, and then also the commercial approach, because I think, you know, it's hopefully we can do both. You know, I think some of the best songwriters are the ones who can toe that line. They can be very artistic in their approach and have this very sensory experience that they're giving to their listener, which connects the listener more viscerally to the emotion that's being expressed, while at the same time being relatable. So, you know, the listener is not having to have a master's degree or an MFA in poetry to understand what they're talking about, or philosophy, or any discipline, where it's rooted in basic human experience, but yet is still beautiful and offers something that can be fresh every time you return to it. I mean, that would be ideal, that every time you hear the song, the lyrics give you something new, and the music gives you something new too. And that's why we return to music that we admire, because every time we listen to it, we hear something new. So I think you can do both. And the problem with cliches and common metaphors is they make it hard to do that, because they are already just so overused that they feel stale. It's like trying to take a week-old slice of pizza and make it taste delicious. It's pretty hard, even though you might douse it up with all kinds of spices and, I don't know, steam it or whatever your method is for reheating pizza. So, I like when you're going to take a cliche or a common metaphor to think of it as an extended metaphor. So what does that mean? Extended metaphors are a metaphor that you latch onto, like time is money. another cliche. But instead of it just happening in one line of your lyrics, it's the whole kind of extended idea of the whole song. It takes place over the whole song. And the master of extended metaphors in my book is Emily Dickinson, who, if she was alive today, maybe one of the great lyricists of all times too. She could be writing great country songs or great pop songs. So let's just take a metaphor that she used in one of her most famous poems. Hope is a thing with feathers. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me. So the metaphor there is hope is a bird. Hope is a thing with feathers. So she is taking this metaphor of hope being like this, like a bird, or a literal bird in this case. That's what metaphors do, is they treat them as if it's literally equal, and extends it through the whole poem. So the whole thing is about how hope is like a bird. It even ends with asked a crumb of me, like a bird wants a crumb of you. So what are some other examples of this in contemporary music or more recent music than Emily Dickinson? Well, there's the cliche "Thank you next," which comes from Broadway, where people go and audition, and if they kind of suck, the director yells "Thank you next." So that's like a cliche from the performing arts, and you can judge this song any way you want, as good, bad, or indifferent. But Ariana Grande takes that "Thank you next" line and turns it into being about her exes, as opposed to it just being like kind of a sarcastic, yeah, thanks a lot, next please, get off the stage. It is more about a song about gratitude, about all the experiences she had with her exes. So it's thank you to her exes, and she's on to the next thing because she's grown from those previous ones. So that's an example of taking this cliche and making it your extended metaphor. But she defamiliarizes it. I didn't think she was going to be avant-garde, but Ariana Grande is avant-garde. She defamiliarized the term "thank you next," but refamiliarized it, so re-territorialized it and made it be about her exes. So it's not so avant-garde, but it's still relatable. But like Bob Dylan's "I'll Be Your Baby Tonight" is a great example of, it's not directly a cliche, "I'll be your baby tonight," but like, I'll be your baby, I'm your baby, be my baby. So there, in our mindset, being somebody's baby is like being their boyfriend or girlfriend or lover. But it's also about a literal infant, something you hold in your arms. So it's a brand new human being, right? So let's read through the lyrics of this song real quick and see what he does. Close your eyes, close the door. You don't have to worry anymore. I'll be your baby tonight. Shut the light, shut the shade. You don't have to be afraid. I'll be your baby tonight. Then we have the bridge. Well, that mockingbird's going to sail away. We're going to forget it. That big fat moon is going to shine like a spoon, but we're going to let it. You won't regret it. Kick your shoes off, do not fear. Bring that bottle over here. I'll be your baby tonight. So what's really clever about Bob Dylan here is that he's causing these sparks to happen between what we understand baby means. We understand it in the popular vernacular music sense that it's like a lover or a boyfriend or girlfriend. But then we also understand it as being an infant child. So he plays on both of those. So I think the first verse is definitely more of the in line with the first, which is about a lover. Close your eyes, close the door. You don't have to worry anymore. I'll be your baby tonight. But then the second verse kind of is a little more iffy. Shut the light, shut the shade. You don't have to be afraid. I'll be your baby tonight. So this kind of fear is more infantile. It's starting to lean towards this other side. And then when the bridge comes around, it's like a little kid's lullaby. Well, that mockingbird's going to sail away. We're going to forget it. That big fat moon is going to shine like a spoon, and we're going to let it. You won't regret it. So then we're all the way over here into this infantile babyish, because he's basically turning this into a lullaby of some sorts. And then the last one, kick your shoes off, do not fear, bring that bottle over here. What kind of bottle are we talking about? Are we talking about a bottle for a little baby? Or are we talking about a bottle of wine? So this is what I mean about, like, you can take something as an extended metaphor, but you can also make it can go in all these different kind of multiple meanings. And this is my favorite type of lyric, and this is what I really strive to do in my own lyrics, is to have as many possible meanings within a line or within a section of a song, so that every time somebody hears it, they might have a different association with it. Now, it's not like a free-for-all. It's not like just the words are so abstract that no one can even get any sense of it. You still have to ground things in the five senses. But just like Bob Dylan did in this song, where you have this option of either baby number one or baby number two, there should be some kind of ambiguity about which one it is. Not ambiguity of experience, where like it's just like, what the hell's happening here? I don't get anything from these lines. But this kind of possibilities, multiple possibilities that are all just as vivid as a direct saying. This is a snake on your kitchen room floor, and it's coiled and it's about ready to bite. That is a very clear image right there. So if you could have something like that, where you have these two possibilities, then I think you've done something pretty cool. And that's definitely something I strive to do in my songwriting. So what do we do with extended metaphors then? What are some possible approaches? Well, if you want to go the artistic route, you can really focus on what I talked about in the previous video, which is defamiliarization. You can use repetition by saying the cliche over and over again, maybe slightly altering it each time. And that will allow, these cliches to have new life and just to become these strange things, the things you've heard over and over again, all of a sudden become odd. And if you want to learn more about that, I'll put the link to that previous video. But if you want to have, like a hit, like Greg had mentioned in the first thing, you can take a similar approach, which is what I would do for any time I'm trying to write on a concept or a theme or, a common metaphor. I would just do, 5, 10, 15 minutes of free writing and see what comes out of it. Now, if I want to do something that's much more on the avant-garde, defamiliarizing, poetic line, I would pick the lines that are the most kind of poetic, and maybe you're a little bit less in a common experience, something that's kind of transcendent. If I want to write something that is going to be a hit on Nashville radio or pop radio, I'm going to try to pick the lines that are the absolutely most relatable, that I think the most people have had a similar experience to. So why don't we do it? Pick a common metaphor. I'm going to pick a metaphor or a cliche even that I heard last weekend. I had the fortune of being in NOLA last weekend, New Orleans, and got to go to the NOLA Funk Festival, which was incredible. I saw the Meters and the Headhunters. Galactic was amazing, and Irma Thomas came out and sang Time Is On My Side, which, speaking of, this is apropos to our topic, Time Is On My Side is a great common metaphor, a cliche. I guess it's not a metaphor. But I guess it's a personification of time as being like something that could be an ally on your side, something that's fighting with you. But the way that it's used in that song is that, like, time's on my side, I'm going to win you over. You'll come running back to me. Doesn't matter, you can break up with me. You're coming back to me. So that was great to hear. There was this young band there called Hypno Nun. And they were great. They were just young kids, maybe in their early 20s, late teens. And I was just enjoying the music, but I recognized that one of the titles of their song was Water Under the Bridge. And I was thinking about this video last weekend. I was like, okay, well, what's a common metaphor that I could use to talk about this? And Water Under the Bridge is a great one. So I'm going to pick that to write on, and you should either write about water under the bridge or pick your own cliche that you've been hearing a lot lately, or is kind of go, oh, that would be an interesting song. So why don't we just write for a couple minutes. You can hit pause, maybe fill half a page or a full page, and let's come back together. I'm going to get my laptop and do so. Let's pause now and we'll reconvene. All right, welcome back. I hope you had some good luck and you got into the flow of writing, whether you did 5, 10, 15 minutes. It's really good to do when you're trying to develop ideas and allow for any possibilities. If you're too kind of hunkered down and like trying to line by line and doing things meticulous with something that you don't have much to base it on, then it's going to be kind of frustrating. So I like to just do free writing. Even if nothing comes of it, it kind of gets my mind open to possibilities. And so I wrote 2 paragraphs, and I kind of committed that cardinal sin of letting the editor have a say in things and instruct. So I wrote a first paragraph which was very kind of surrealistic, and then the editor came in and said, well, do something relatable now. But that was okay, because I do like what came out of the second paragraph. But in the future, I'll try to get more in the flow. No matter how many times we do that, it's pretty hard to keep that editor at bay and to leave you alone. So when he comes in, maybe you can use his advice. So anyways, I'll read what I wrote for the first paragraph, talk about that, and then we'll move on to the second paragraph. I'm drowning in the water under the bridge and can't flail any harder to keep the water out of my mouth. The past clings to me with its myriad hands like tentacles with a bloody beak that caws to me through bubbles, each one a memory longing to ascend to the swirling surface. So this is much more poetically imaginative, not very relatable in a lot of ways, although there is a lot of sensory stuff in there, so I think there's stuff that works, but this would be much more leading towards a psychedelic or the defamiliarization approach to dealing with cliches. But given that, there are some lines that I like. I really like, I'm drowning in the water under the bridge. So I'm going to highlight that. Good to do when you are going through what you read or what you wrote. I like that because it's like, that's a cool little twist on things, like water under the bridge. Usually people are like, who cares, it's water under the bridge. But what if somebody's drowning in it? What if somebody's actually like stuck in the past that can't get, out of that swirl, that whirlpool? They're stuck in it and they're drowning in it. It's really ruining their lives. So I like that. I'm going to keep that in my back pocket in case I can use it. So then the editor came in and said, okay, make this relatable now. So I decided to write about my associations with rivers and my own experience as a kid. And some of it imaginative, but still thinking this has to be relatable. So, of course, the Bruce Springsteen song, We Went Down to the River, you and I, about taking his girlfriend down to the river and how he regrets how his life has changed. That was like his glory days. So that was in the back of my mind as I was writing this. I remember going down to the river where we would swim and play. As we got older, you held each other and kissed our youth away. Maybe I should make that we held each other. So as we got older, we held each other and kissed our youth away, never to step in the same river and its flow. I can't kiss it as it flies by and let it go. Although I want to live for the moment, the swishing sirens call for me, wanting to dash my gesture against the rocks of the arch. With light dancing and laughing at my sinking, I gulp the sweet memory that tastes like a ghost of you and pretend the water's embracing me like you used to do. So there were moments of kind of surreal, a little too poetic, not relatable moments, but there's a lot more in here that I could use if I want to write a song that's much more a relatable song to people. Like this memory of of childhood, of swimming and playing in the water, and how that the water from that time is now gone. It's now water under the bridge. So the same river you were swimming and playing in is no longer the same river. As Heraclitus said, you can't step in the same river twice. So I like that. So I'm just going to underline where we would swim and play. I don't like that as an actual lyric, but I like the idea. In fact, maybe I'll change that to a green color just so I know that that's just more of an idea. As we got older, we held each other and kissed our youth away. I like we kissed our youth away. So it's like these kids who were playing, and then they grew up, they became teenagers, they became lovers, and then they saw, what happened with time, that they got older. The sirens calling, wanted to dash my gesture against the rocks of the arch. I think that's just a little too surreal for a relatable song, even though the personification of light, dancing and laughing at my sinking. I like that poetic image, but I don't think it would fit in a song that I'm trying to be relatable, where it's just down-to-earth, direct experience. I gulp the sweet memory that tastes like a ghost of you. I think that's poetic, but it's also, I like it. It's also relatable. It's like, it's a taste, which is hard to get. Remember, out of the five senses, taste is one of the harder ones to get. So I gulp the sweet memory that tastes like a ghost of you, and pretend the water's embracing me like you used to do. Actually, that works as a lyric. Okay. So I don't have enough here, but I definitely have some things to anchor a verse on. A little concept, these extended metaphors. So if I decide to make the song be about drowning in the water under the bridge, I can use these as like, okay, well, I can write a verse about the childhood and the childhood becoming teenage years and adulthood, and how that river, as it flowed, is a metaphor for time, and that water all went under the bridge. And also just setting a scene of a landscape, so it's a literal bridge that I'm talking about, even though the content is metaphorical. I can actually paint a portrait of that. And then the loss of this person. And I can make it unknown whether this person is gone because of a breakup, or because they moved on, or because they've died. Might be even, if I want to go Edgar Allan Poe on this and be kind of super romantic on it, I can make the person dead. But I can also make it unknown or uncertain whether that's the case. So I gulp the sweet memory that tastes like a ghost of you, and pretend the water's embracing me like I used to do. I really like to do this with my lyrics, is to give options for kind of choose your own adventure for the listener. They can interpret it the way they want. I still want the image to be clear. I want the experience to be based in the senses, but how it's interpreted as a concept or a metaphor, I want that to be open for my listener. So this is just one possible approach for working with these common metaphors or cliches. If you have any other suggestions, please put them in the comments, or if this video just didn't clarify what you wanted to get out of this aspect of songwriting, please let me know. I'm happy to talk more about it, but this is the approach I take when I'm using a common metaphor. And the last thing I'll share with you is I used a common metaphor for a full-fledged song recently on my new album, Fool's Leap of Faith, which is also a common metaphor that's been slightly tweaked by Fools. Also, as my brother pointed out, is a tarot reference. But I wanted to share this common metaphor that came about through improvising, but then I was stuck with this common metaphor or cliche and had to use it. So I'll be back in one split second. Okay, so I was improvising as I do at the beginning of all my songwriting sessions. I just did a 10-minute improv one night, and I was just playing these. And I improvised just a verse and a chorus, and it went like this. Well, I've been looking, but it's not working. No one will shake my hand. I've been lurking in shadows, shirking the bear trap and its pain. I will build my boat, I will build my army, I will take my stand in no man's land. Okay, so that's what I got from improv, and I liked it, so it was like, okay, well, I got to have it be longer, so I've got to write some more verses. So no man's land is definitely a common metaphor or a cliche, and I usually try to avoid them, but I kind of liked what was going on in the song. And I'd set up some kind of mysterious questions like, what the hell is going on with this guy? Why would he be searching, and why would no one shake his hand? And what's the deal with the bear trap? And why is he like being kind of an isolationist? He's going to like set up an army and take his stand. So I thought this was, interesting stuff. So I did a bunch of free writing on it, and I came up with some other lines where I wanted to tease out other possibilities. So this is definitely not the relatable write a hit method for coming up with lyrics, because I was just definitely going for something surreal and just kind of out of the normal experience. I wanted to defamiliarize what no man's land means. And so I came up with some ideas. Like I was thinking about just like, what does it mean to be in no man's land? Is it the land that no man owns, which is kind of like the common way of thinking about it, being in the middle of nowhere. Maybe somebody owns it, but there's nothing for miles. There's no man. So there's multiple meanings already in the cliche, like there's no man on this land, or woman, for that matter. It also could be land that doesn't belong to no man. It's a wild place that's not been tamed by humanity. But then also I thought of there's other possibilities of like that, oh, well, I become a no man. I'm a nobody when I'm out here. And so what happens when you get to this egolessness? So like maybe the threat of death, this bear trap closing on this guy, or just that's a metaphor for society of like holding you down and taming the wild. A way to shirk death would be to basically become a no one. If you annihilate the ego and you no longer have a sense of self, then what dies? There is no self that dies anymore. So you get out of it in that way. And meditation plays a role in that, certainly in the Buddhist tradition, to breathe out. Your last breath is a breath out, right? So it's a death in itself, but you're doing that every time that you're concentrating on your breath. You're watching your thought, which is basically what is consuming your awareness and becomes the you that is ego, because ego is a thought, it's a concept. You're breathing that out. And does it still linger? Is it still there? Or does it dissolve just like, this invisible breath out into nothing? So I was teasing out all these different things and thinking about them as I was doing free writing. So I came up with some other lines. Kind of a question towards a creator. Who dared command it? First bliss, then panic. The old default always jerks me back. Denial falters. Awake it alters, presided by the Reaper and his clan. Follow next breath out, sweep out any doubt. I will plant my hands in no man's land. Okay, so what the hell is that about? So who dared command it, first bliss then panic? Like, who made this situation that it is? I have, I'm in blissful state, but then a thought comes in of, oh, this is going to end, I've got to hold on to it. And then, of course, it's gone. The joy is gone in that moment, or it slowly dissipates out. And that's true of, all of life's joys. And then denial falters. So even though I can't, I try to deny the fact of death, I can't deny it. It falters. I can forget about it for a while, but then it comes creeping back. And that's, I awake, it alters. So, meaning I pledge myself, I get married, or I take on religious ideas in order to save myself in this situation. but it's presided by the reaper and his clan. So this is about death cults. It's about this focusing on the affirmation of death as opposed to the affirmation of life. Kind of a dark view of what religion is in its most kind of concretized and dogmatic state, right? So return to meditation, follow next breath out, sweep out any doubt. So the doubt is also a thought. The suffering is also a thought. The samsaric mind is also a thought that can be breathed out, as well as the self, right? And they are hand in hand. I will plant my hands in no man's land. So it's becoming almost like a vegetation in this place. So that's just some ways that you can possibly address a common metaphor. I do have another verse. If you want to hear it, you can go check out the album, which is streamable on the Octave Records website. You can listen to the songs. If you want the full res audiophile version, that's for sale on their website. Anyways, best of luck with working with these common metaphors. I hope I didn't exhaust you with examples. If you have any other questions or ever want to hear from me again, please send me a message at tyler@musemeasure.com or just put it down in the comments below. All right, take care.